Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I thank our witness for being here. First, I'm going to make a comment, and then I'm going to ask you some questions. Mr. Waxman referred to, and you also, I think, referred in your opening statement, to the number of projects that are pending and the amount of LNG that would be exported if they were all to be approved. Well, there's one minor point. They also have to all be built, and they're not all going to be built. You could approve 30 projects. My guess is you'll have 1 or 2 built on the East Coast, 1 or 2 on the West Coast, and perhaps 2 or 3 on the Gulf of Mexico. Now, I could be totally wrong about that, but the cost of these projects and the long-term financing commitment and the uncertainty of the foreign markets, as soon as we start exporting LNG, these prices that look so lucrative overseas, they're not going to stay at $16 an MCF or $12 or $13. When people see that the U.S. is going to export to Hungary or to Japan or to Eastern Europe or wherever, those prices are going to change, and there's going to be an equilibrium point. We don't know where that is, but you're not going to build 20 LNG terminals to export natural gas. That's just not going to happen. Could you give an example, at least hypothetically, of what would not be in the national interest? I mean, so far every project that's been reviewed has been approved, and the law is such that you have to find it's not in the national interest. If it's where we already have a trade agreement, it's an automatic, and if it's not, you do have to do this review, but so far the yeses have won every time. So what would be an example that would not be in the national interest, hypothetically?
Thank you, Congressman. We would agree that it's unlikely that all of these projects will get built. The success of these will depend on a number of factors. These are decadal commitments. They require very sophisticated engineering and construction capacities and very large capital commitments and very significant steel in the ground, if you will. The guidance that we've been given in the Natural Gas Act is to conduct a public interest review. As I noted, we didn't get a lot of guidance on what that meant. So we've tried to create a process that is very transparent, and we're working our way through that process, considering the public interest and the criteria that we've set out. What I can tell you is that the considerations that we take into account in making that determination are all part of the public record. And given the record that has been, the information that has been placed on the record to date in those proceedings, weighing all of that and balancing those interests, our determination has been that export's in the public interest.
You've talked for a minute and a half and haven't said a thing. You know, that's not an adversarial question. Let me give you a hypothetical. If Barton LNG Exports presents an application to the Department of Energy to export LNG to North Korea to help build manufacturing capability to build missiles that would then be capable of attacking the United States, would that be in the national interest?
I would imagine that quite a bit of information would be put into the public record for us to consider in that proceeding, and we would do so.
I would hope the answer to that question would be no. I mean, well, my time is evaporating, so let me move on. Is it safe to assume that the geopolitical considerations that Mr. Rush has talked about and Mr. Shimkus are talked about are reasons to approve LNG exports, that there is a geopolitical strategic component to the review?
Yes, sir. In all of our orders that we've approved to date and authorizations have granted, geopolitical considerations, international considerations are factored in. We take very seriously our nation's commitment to free trade and very much understand that increasing the supply and diversity of natural gas on global markets benefits us, our energy security, and that of our allies.
Okay. This is my last question, and I want you to give me, in the spirit of John Dingell, who's not here, a yes or no answer. And I will give you a hint that these questions are designed to make your report look good, okay? Isn't it true, question one, isn't it true that the Department of Energy rejected the claim that the NERA study overstated the likely macro benefits from LNG exports, yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Isn't it true that DOE observed that more natural gas is likely to be produced domestically if LNG exports are authorized than if they are prohibited?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Isn't it also true that the Department of Energy rejected the claim that there is a one-for-one trade-off between gas used in manufacturing and gas diverted for export?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And isn't it also true that DOE was not persuaded that LNG exports will substantially increase the volatility of domestic natural gas prices?
Yes, sir.
And this is my last question. Isn't it true that DOE believes that the public interest generally favors authorizing proposals to export natural gas that have been shown to lead to net benefits to the U.S. economy?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Gentleman's time has expired. This